You join me on my kitchen, dining room table with this, my computer. Yes, in this extra special video we are going to give my little box that runs this channel, my blog, my entire vacuum cleaner life and personal, an upgrade. Yes, I have been shopping, so I have pulled this down from the loft. We're going to give it a good going over. Let's do it. Yes, hello my vacuum cleaner chums, how are you today? Just turn the fan off. Yes, this is my computer. Had this for a fair few years now and it sits up in the loft. It just sits up in the loft, buzzing away all day, every day, rarely gets turned off. But it's time for it to have a good clean out and an upgrade. The case is staying, even though it is pretty knackered. It just sits up in the loft. It's okay. If we look behind, we can see many more cobwebs. And the motherboard with its billions of USB ports, of which I use 2. The graphics card, a satellite receiver card that I don't use. Put it round and let's undo the thumb screws. Yes, this is going to be one of those videos, the Echo does technology, but with a proper vacuum cleaner twist. We can see the inside of my mini beast. We have a Gigabyte P55A motherboard, socket LGA 1156. We have 8 GB of RAM in 2 4GB sticks. We have an Intel i3 processor, a 1 GB something or other graphics card, that's a satellite card, a Corsair CX500 power supply, another cobweb, and lots and lots of hard drives. Yes, this has all been smashed together. Look, this one is held in place with a box of Peppa Pig raisins, with the raisins still in it. No, we're not going to be eating those. I'm going to wedge that back in for now, just because it stops this hard drive from rattling around. Yeah, the whole thing is just a bit tired. Very tired, very dirty, and in need of a full scrub, which is what we're going to do in this video. Let me show you the parts that I have to fit. So, while she boots up, which is taking a little while because it did some updates before I shut it down up in the loft. Yep, get the Windows ready. If you watch Linus, you'll know that screen. Let me show you what I bought in this very expensive box. This is what I've been saving up my ad revenue money for a few months on. Well, mostly anyway, I've put a little bit towards it. Yes, all the money that you guys give me when you press skip on the advert, which I do as well, don't worry, has gone towards this box. And what is in this box? Well, in this envelope, we have a very frivolous 3.5 inch to, well, 5.25 inch CD-ROM drive slot to a 3.5 inch, which will fill this empty hole just up here, which has never had anything in. You can't get these banking plates, plus it will come in handy. We also need to glue the power switch back into the button, which has always been broken ever since I got the computer, because it was second hand. A friend gave me all this, which is very kind of him. So we have that. Inside this envelope we have a Core i7 860 CPU that was £40 from eBay. Don't forget we are working with old technology here. I bought myself a new hard drive to USB caddy. Anyway, what else do we have? We have one 12cm fan, 2 12cm fans, 3 12 4 12cm fans, because there's one at the front, there's one at the back and the top. They're all okay-ish, but there can be 2 on the side, and I think there could be another one at the front. And because this sits up in the loft, and these were only £6 each, brand new, thought it wouldn't hurt to put one in. Let me just log in quickly because we have booted. What else do we have? We have a caster. I didn't mean to buy the same parts as this case, by the way. It just happened, really. We have an Akasa performance cooler for LGA 11 or the 55 or 56. I can't remember. Just because I don't know how old the stock cooler is, and I want to keep the temps down. We have a 8GB stick of DDR3 1600 MHz RAM, which is exactly the same as the two mismatched sticks that are in there. I did bid on a 16GB pair, but got outbid, bought this and got a second chance offer and had to tell the guy, sorry, I've already bought some more. It's an individual box. RAM is flipping expensive. Blimey, is expensive. I got outbid on loads before I got this. This was 40 quid on its own. So that will give me the full 16 gig that this motherboard can take. We then have a 128 gig or 120 gig Kingston SSD, which is going to be the boot drive. And finally, be very careful because this costs £100, about £90, a Western Digital Blue 4TB hard drive, which I'm going to put very safely down here. Marvellous. So, quite a bit of shopping, but then not too much when you consider that, you know, an i7 processor, okay, it's really old generation, but it will be a big performance boost. Let me show you what we're running now. Here we go. Not going to go into too much depth, but this is my pipeline spreadsheet that I use for all of my videos which are coming up, so I know when the hell I put them up. We'll close that. My desktop background is my new Box VAX 121 that we are looking at now. There's still a video to go. And my old brand new, that was a tenner from the car boot, Hoover Aquajet 5000 that I sold for £100 and was damn pleased to. It was lovely, but that's £100. I didn't say no. So what have we got? Well, we have currently got, when it loads, Task Manager is very slow. We have a Core i3 550 at 3.2 GHz. This is currently running at 30 odd %. Although I have just turned it on and yeah, .NET runtime optimization. We have 8GB of RAM. The poor old C drive is at 90%. All the rest are fine. Ethernet's not connected because it's not at the minute. We don't need that. And of course the problem with doing all that, this is mainly what made me change this, because I use this to encode my videos. This sits up in the loft headless, but I remote desktop into it from my laptop. So it does get hammered. It just sits there with a power cable. Well, all this is connected but turned off. This runs off of a different power supply. I've run a cable down to the children's bedroom where it sits, along with the home plug. So it just has LAN and video. And if I pop a new bin together and just pop a video in there, that you won't have seen this, but it doesn't matter. We've got vacuums pending. Here we go, this is a VAX video that I have done. This was a cable change on a VAX Mac Air somewhere. Actually no, you've seen this one. Let's do the DC11 video. If I'm in the Task Manager back up, go to performance, we're going to lose it for a second just while I... So we drop down to the timeline and I'm not going to edit it, I'm just going to start encoding it. And I'll leave it out of my videos to upload folder. Let's plop it just on the desktop. If we push render, the CPU goes straight to 90-ish%. It sort of peaks at 99, really. So we're rendering. So now we're using 90% of that. The RAM is ramping right up. The Sony Vegas does like its RAM, and eventually that will sit at 7.2 GB of 8. The hard drive died right now, that's only 6 ago, 5.9, so that's 6 gig, 95%. And it will sit there quite happily, I'll be honest, rendering a video. Let's open up Specky. Because the temperature is okay on this, even up in the loft, in the weather we've had in the UK, it isn't bad. It's about 60 degrees, which is more than adequate. Now it's 53 on the CPU, 38 on the motherboard, etc. I have an NVIDIA GeForce 210 graphics card. I don't need graphics. There you go, 6.7 out of 8 gig. That's where it will sit. Because I've limited Sony Vegas to not use the whole RAM because it crashed. And 92% of the CPU. And it renders it frame by frame by frame, which is fine because it's up in the loft. I can do it on the laptop, press start, then shut the laptop down and do something else. It's doable, you know. But I just wanted it to be a little bit faster. You know? Everything's dropping right down. There we go, very nice. I mean, I did take somewhere. This is the storage setup at the minute. We have a mishmash of drives. The C drive and just a drive that I called stuff, which holds stuff, is an ancient 500 gigabyte drive. That needs to go. Don't want that at all. I've then got two 2 terabyte drives, one of which holds all my films and music, from films and video, even DVD rips, torrents, you know, that sort of thing. This 2 terabyte drive is all of the Hoover stuff. So if we come into here, group shots. There you go, this is the day we moved into this house when I had my few turbo powers that I had at the time. There. That is, yeah, everything. At the minute, on this hard drive, I have 600 gig on there. We then have a 1 terabyte drive called Vacuums Pending. And this is where stuff to come up goes. So it's where I dump my camera. It's where the refurb thread pictures go. Here's a DC40 ERP thread that I've got to write. Videos ready to upload. Is that my phone? It is. I appear to have a pneumatic heavy motor. Videos ready to upload. So there is a Vax Air cordless coming up, and the after video of the Electrolux glider. They won't be up yet. Future projects, which is very, 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 very full. We're ignoring that for now. That's the intro music to my videos, etc. All that takes up a nice healthy 271 gig. That'll probably stay, I'll be honest, because it's not really in the way. It's okay. Then there's another terabyte hard drive that I was using as a backup, but it's not really working too well, I'll be honest, because it's only a terabyte. So my plan is the SSD will be the boot. Then I need to have a think really, because the 4 terabyte drive is probably going to house everything vacuum related. So I'll have the vacuums done and the vacuums pending just as folders on the 4 terabyte drive. Keep videos as it is. I shall take out the other 1 terabyte drive. Plus I'll take out both 1 terabyte drives, and then the 2 terabyte that's left can be the backup for this drive, because I'll get some use out of it. I've got over a terabyte free. I've got 1.23 terabytes free. By that point I should have saved up enough for another 4 terabyte hard drive, or they've fallen down in price. Where was I going with this? Yes, this. So this was the other night. 60 degree CPU, 50 degree motherboard, 50 degree graphics. I need to zoom out. That was the CPU before, so I was using 4 gig just pottering around. Then up it goes to 93%, there we go, 7.7. That's after it was running for a few minutes. Yeah, it needs to change. So that is the build up really. Now we are going to shut this, well, I'm going to copy some files over, I'll do that off camera, don't worry. Then we're going to shut this down, have it out on the floor, and strip it completely apart, because everything needs a good vacuum, a good wipe down, and we need to do a stock take of all the parts. I bought a hot glue gun so we can fix this back into the back of the switch and give it an upgrade and fit our lovely new components. I need to make a Windows 10 boot USB as well. because I need to put Windows 10 back on it. Yeah. Let's go. Back on the floor, where we belong here on my channel, with the computer ready to be stripped down and cleaned. But obviously I need a vacuum cleaner to do it with. Yes, I haven't lost complete sight. The Hoover Lifetime that we're using this month is possibly the most inappropriate vacuum cleaner to be using at 9:30 at night ever. We like our neighbours like us. It's not going to happen. So when I got the computer out the loft, I saw this. My little Hoover Dustette 2504/2604. We've got two. So we're going to be using that. However, it needs a little disposable bag, because otherwise the outer cloth bag does not inflate properly. So I had this horrible pattern Miele bag that we are going to cut up and use in the Dustette, just to help it along a bit. There's going to be little tiny amount of dust in here, but it would be silly not to, and luckily that is actually completely the right size just by tearing off the bag thing. All I've got to do now is very well, not carefully, but without trapping my fingers, roll the clamp spring onto this bag, which is going to be a little bit difficult because it all slips around. It hasn't got to be on fantastically because it's only a little dust there. There we go, look. And if I turn it on, that'll do it. That'll do it nicely. Let's just do the zip back up. Probably not going to inflate fantastically well, but that is more than enough suction for the job in hand. So I shall fit the extension hose to the front, and then we either have its crevice tool or the brand new Pit Fit dusting brush. I thought we would give a go, because this, I don't have the dusting brush for this, plus the round proper dusting brushes have a plastic insert beneath the brushes that goes quite deep, and obviously that's going to scratch. As much as I don't mind scratching it, I'd rather not. So there we go, we have our cleaning out device. I've got a pack of baby wipes, I have a microfiber, 2 screwdrivers. Let's get this apart. And we shall start by taking the lid off. Pretty simply. I've got 2 screws here, which I don't actually have a little pot for, which is a little bit silly, so I might go grab one of those in a minute. So we'll take the cover off. It's a little bit dusty. One side, in fact that can now hold all the screws. There we go. Oh gosh. Right, I think the first thing I'm going to do is take out all of the hard drives, which are all held in place with various bits of rubbish from when I bodged it in initially. So this has unplugged itself. We have a 1 terabyte Western Digital green hard drive. One of these holds vacuums pending. One of these is a sort of janky backup, and the janky backup drive is going, but I don't know which is which yet. So for now, we'll get rid of the Peppa Pig raisins. That then loosens this hard drive, which is the other terabyte hard drive. So one of these we need, one of these we don't. Pop those safely there. What is next? We have... I'll try to read the thing, because it will tell you. This is one of the 2 terabyte drives. So this is either vacuum store or my videos. Either way, thunderously important. This is the other 2 terabyte hard drive, the Western Digital Caviar Green, and I'll probably keep the other Caviar Green just because. So that is either backup or vacuum pending. So if my YouTube channel suddenly stops, because I can encode this video off my laptop, if everything else suddenly stops, it won't. And this is the 18-year-old 500GB hard drive that I have been using as the boot drive, which can go. I won't fire it yet, but this isn't going back in. I backed everything up onto one of the other drives I want to keep. I shall pop it up there just in case it all goes horribly wrong, because obviously I can boot back up with it and go from there, really. Right, where to start now? Well, we can remove these quick release CD-ROM holders. In fact, we're going to need to quickly whip the other case on. This bit of carpet is just to protect the floor, by the way, not the case. I don't care about the case. One day, if it ever does get to come out and go on a desk, it can have a new case. Gosh, I've got the fan on and I can just see the cobwebs flying out. So there we go. That then means that I can release the present unused, because I never use it, but the DVD-ROM drive. That's probably not going to go back in either, plugged in, because I don't think there's enough ports for it. There is a reason why I don't use it, but it sits there because, you know, I might need it one day. And then we're just going to start plugging stuff basically. We'll take out all of the SATA cables. There we go. That's what comes up here. That's what. This one is for the front eSATA port, which doesn't actually need to be plugged back in because I don't have anything eSATA. And if I did, I wouldn't be able to use it anyway. So there's all the cables. We'll drop those here for later. What's next? Right, I'm going to have to take a picture here so that we can plug the motherboard header cables back in properly. So bear with. Take that one, I'll just take another one because they're a little bit hidden. And these can all come out. There's a little BIOS speaker. Quite a dinky little thing. Everything else is fine. This is the front USB, which can come out. We shall take this back fan off. We shall unplug the power cable for the processor. And this is the front audio, which again we don't really ever use. Take off the main connection to the motherboard. I think we are ready to start removing some cards. I will start with the graphics card. Like so, there we go. A little bit dusty. We are going to be taking that apart to reheat sync it. My Asus 1GB card, which is utterly fine. The stupid prices of graphics cards nowadays means that I am not spending out on a better one that I'm not going to appreciate and use. I don't game. There is no need. I'm going to take the satellite card out, which I'll put back in just because this used to run in the flat and actually throughout my teenage years. I used to run Windows Media Center, Windows 7 Media Center, and have a satellite feed into the back of my computer. And it was great. I didn't watch telly. I just used Windows Media Center and could record stuff. 2 satellite feeds. Oh, there's the hamster. Hi, buddy. These don't seem to be coming out very easily. See? I like that. I've got a feeling that I am simply taking the motherboard stand. No, I'm not taking the motherboard standoffs off, but it is coming. There we go. Is that everything? It is. Out comes bar one header, which is still in there. The motherboard. All of its dusty glory. Marvellous. You can go safely down here. We'll have this back fan off because I don't think it needs replacing, but it is very filthy. I'll pop all those screws up there. We'll take this off. Like so. I'll just pop the motherboard back plate out. I'll give that a bit of a clean up. Not that it really matters, but since we're going to all this effort to strip and clean the whole thing, there is a fan that has run in a dusty place for a long time. Have that off up there. Now we can start to pull the power cable screws to take the power supply out, which should start to give us some movement in it. Okay. I do wish it was a modular supply. It would have been a lot easier to manage, but I'm not upgrading the power supply yet. I don't think it needs it. Even with this i7 CPU, it shouldn't need it. A modular one would be quite easier because I don't need all the cables it would come with. There's 4 screws up there. Right, there's some dust, look. Oh, we are very, very caught. What are we very, very caught on? Oh, it's all caught up under here. What's under here? Hello. This seems to be where the front cable is. Ah, there we go, there's a Molex caught under there. Gotcha, I win. No, you win, I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah, I do regret not buying a modular power supply. Oh wow. Oh, I've got the fan on now, it's making a noise. One Corsair CX500 power supply, which is very, very dusty. But we can sort that out. So I'm about to sort that fan out. Right. And everything else is related to the front, nearly everything else is related to the front header panel. Bar this top fan, if I just slip this cable tight. There we go. Not entirely sure how this front panel comes off, but we need it to come off because we need to fix power button. I think it literally just pushes off. And I don't have, yes I do, Ha! God bless my mobile phone stripping apart toolkit. It's also very handy for Dyson because it has the little micro screwdrivers needed to take the cyclones apart nowadays. There we go. Here's the power button in all of its naughty glory. Right. There we go, there's the inside of the front panel. Pop that there for now. What else can we take apart? Well, we'll have this top fan out because it sits by a filter and the filter is disgusting. So we'll have you. That's the state of the filter after many, many years of being sat up in the loft. We shall give that a tweak in a minute. There's also, it seems, a fan behind here. Behind another very, very dusty filter. Well, I'm not sure how this one comes apart. We shall have a look. Oh, hang on. Right, you silly hamster. No. Shut up, fan. I can't turn it off because I'll die. Yeah, this is Buddy. Look, this is Eva's hamster, Buddy. Hi, Buddy. Bye, Buddy. Go away. That's quite cool. Look, this whole front panel folds down and you feel a large dead wasp. So we'll just get that off before I stick my hand on it. And that is filthy. I don't remember touching that when I first got this case. Whoops. And I think we now finally have a bare, filthy, disgusting shell. Actually, no, more screws come off. Shall we? Would be rude not to, wouldn't it? We may as well take it apart as much as we can on camera, then I can give it a good vacuum over and wipe down. Must be. I read some contemporary reviews of this case. I think it can take a water cooling kit. And I imagine that is what this is all for. And the reason this top piece does come fully off. So you can bang the radiator in and then stick it back down. But I don't do water cooling, never done it, probably never will. There's no need for me to water cool anything. So I never know. Really, I don't run. This was running fine, just air cooled, so we don't need to do much. Ah, that's handy, isn't it? So that whole top panel comes off there. There is now no structural rigidity to this thing at all. And now we can get cleaning. So let me just pick up all of these screws. Pop the dusting brush onto the dustingette and we'll get vacuuming. Lovely. Did it before. after. There's 2 spiders pulled out of there. Bastards. I think we got them all. Oh, this is nice and weird. Give them both sets. That's enough. Two spiders so far. That's probably going to be it though. Right. I'm now going to pause because you don't need to watch me do this. And with this package of baby wipes and the microfiber clip behind me, give everything a good rub down. And in fact, we'll take the fan off of here because I can give this a good rub down as well. I'll get everything cleaned up. And we can perhaps start to reassemble it, maybe with some fans. Because I've got all these new fans and I want to try and replace. I'll probably can't replace the top one because it is huge. But certainly all the other ones I want to replace just because these are so old. I don't quite know. Yeah, it won't hurt to... Oh, I've got to vacuum that again, look. It's not going to hurt to replace them, is it? Yeah, I didn't get any big ones, I just got the small fans. So, back in a jiffy. Right, we are a bit cleaner. No more wildlife has come out, and it is time to open up my Crazy Crocodile's 10-watt glue gun. Because we need to fix the power switch back in. Now what has happened is there is a clip that side of this switch, but that side has snapped off. Also the whole thing is a bit loose because the hot glue that holds it into place is not doing its job. So I've never used a glue gun before. Oh, we just got to plug it in, wait a minute, and squeeze the trigger. That's not too difficult. Hope it works. It was incredibly cheap. I also got 100 glue sticks, which is handy. So I'll have one of these out. Best put the little stand on, hadn't we? Would be sensible. And this will be also quite handy for vacuums because there's been occasions where I've had to break off hot glue in order to remove something, and I've always sort of Q-bonded it back on and hoped for the best. But now we can glue it back on. Right, so we are on. It says allow 1 to 2 minutes to warm up, so it's either going to catch fire or explode. Now I see, it just pushes it through a little hot bit at the top. Well, I'm not going to check how hot that hot bit is. I'm going to get this ready. I'm just literally going to glue this bit into place. Oh, not yet. So glue this in this. I took off the mesh from the front panel, gave that a wipe. I've taken all of the drive bay covers off because behind them sits a foam that could possibly do with the vacuum off. This stage in its life, any glue yet? No. No switch, is there? I'll do literally just wait. I don't know, is this hot enough to melt plastic yet? Yep. Come on, I'm impatient. Oh, for goodness sake. Then, yeah, I shall fit all new fans everywhere I can. And we'll get on with the actual upgrades of the hardware, because at the minute we're still just messing around cleaning. Ah! Hot glue! I see. You can sort of see. Now, I'm not going to go too close up because you'll see how terrible it looks. We'll have a bit there. Oh, it's got stringy. Ah! And I will just stick a little bit in the other side. There we go. We have a glued in switch already. Next I shall run a bead of it where the other glue was. Oh god, it's like a spider's web of crap. I think that will do it. Let me just unplug it. We've used up most of the glue stick already. We can sit on top of the DVD drive. And there we go. Oof. We have our switch glued back in. I can probably start to pick some of this stuff off now. There we go. I can probably start to pick some of the stringy bits off now, and then I've also... That's where the glue used to sit on the front header panel, so that now longer jiggles, no longer jiggles about afterwards. The power button clicks and works. The reset button is fine anyway. We might need it again because this LED fell out, which is for the hard drive. Not really very critical, and probably not really going to be very needed anymore now that we have an SSD to go in, because there shouldn't be much hard drive activity, but you never know. So I've decided to leave the eStarter cable on because the actual cable is the port, if that makes sense. It doesn't just plug onto a circuit board, it is the whole port itself, so we can't really get away with that. Oh, I best see how this LED mounts as well. Oh, it just pushes into the... Oh, I see. Crikey, where does that go? Oh, I've got the panel on upside down. Right, there we go. So yes, we do just quickly need the hot glue gun again. Get out of the way, hamster. Hopefully there's enough in it just to stick a little splodge here. Literally there, just to hold that in. I wonder if it's going to be warm enough to do it. Yeah! That'll do it, that's all it needs. Ah, that's a job I've been putting off for a long, long time. Just done. So that can all clip back into place, he says. Wondering why it's not going in. I want to snap off any of this glue already, which I just have. Oh, fiddlesticks. No, don't do that. Oh, I've just made a mess of everything. Should have let it dry more. This might just be enough to wedge in there. think that's just going to be fine wedge. It's only a little status LED. It'll be fine. No one will die. I might quickly tweak it from the back side in a minute. Why are you not clipping in, you little sod? It's only a front panel, I'm not that precious about it. Just bloody, oh, I know what I've done. The top goes in first. Silly boy. There we go. That's better. And it has these two screws here. I think it was these two screws, yeah. Okay. They're all the same screws, I think, that hold the front panel and the mesh in place. They're all just little tiny machine type screws. Apart from that one, it's the longer ones, that'd be why. There we go. Beautiful, right. That is fixed. Right, I'm going to get these cleaned up, and these, although I might not bother actually looking at it, mainly because I've got to bend all of these metal tabs out. It doesn't look the easiest. I wish I hadn't prattled around with this one now. I think I'm just going to forget I ever said that I would do anything with those particular ones and put them back in. So, this mesh that was full of bloody spiders just drops on, and then all these wide head screws hold it down. So that's quite simple. And again, I should probably stick a big blob of hot glue on all of these, but I don't think I'll bother. Didn't really need to take them off in the first place, I just did, because why the devil not? There we are. There's those. We may as well pop these back in because I'm not breaking out the blanks on the case. So these can go back in exactly where they were forever, because I'm never going to have 5.25 inch drives, am I? Ever. There we go. Lovely. So the front panel is done. Right, time for some Akasa, whatever. Quiet fans, 12cm black fan 4PC case. Inside we have a possibly quite handy, although I don't know if it is, we have 4 new screws each. Might not use those. And a fan header to Molex adapter, which we may need, so I can't actually fully remember which way we go. Now, part of me is now thinking it would be very silly because, there you go, there's an arrow to the airflow. I want the front to blow into the case. So, if I remember correctly, I need to mount this fan that way. In there like so. So we'll use the old screws for now because, well, I don't need the new screws. So I'll pop these screws in. There's my slightly better screwdriver. These fatter screws, here it is. Or grunt. We all like like a bit of grunt, don't we, Dorian? Hey? I know Dorian likes a bit of grunt. Keeps telling me about it, shudder. I hope this works. I've got so many videos to encode and so many flipping refurb threads to write, which are all sat on one of those hard drives. I'm going to have to caddy it just to get something done if this doesn't boot. We'll find out soon. There we go, and that just drops into the top of the case, and I'm going to keep, oh I missed a load of dust there. I'm going to try and start the cable management by having the cable going out to the side to hopefully go around and back in, which would be nice. I need these 4 screws here. I mean, that's why those adapters are quite handy, because if I haven't got enough space, there are 2 Molex plugs, which are the old style power supply for old IDE hard drives and optical drives, that I have to hide. So if there's not enough headers on the motherboard, or one doesn't reach, I can scuttle it out of the way somewhat and have it a bit hidden. Right, there we go. There we go, and we want, I think it was this filter for the front. There we go, 1 fan is done, huzzah! What a mission critical that was. Right, now, I didn't buy any bigger fans for the top, because this one is actually pretty okay. All we're going to do, really, is just give it a good wipe down with a baby wipe. Good wipe down. So it's only a little bit dusty. The fan does seem to, the filter even does seem to have done its job quite well on this top fan. So that's okay. And then I'll get this one fitted as well. Here we go then. Time for the exciting stuff. I put the top back on the case just because it was annoyingly flimsy without it. Let us remove the RAM. We have a mix of RAM, we have a Kingston stick and an N3T4GNZ-BII. And I'm about to stick another stick of random brand Corsair, but it doesn't matter because this isn't really a gaming rig. As long as it flipping boots, not having a match pair isn't really going to bother me too much. As long as it can see the flipping 16 gig, I'm happy enough. Maybe one day I will buy a matched pair of RAM. Who knows? Right, this is the Intel stock cooler, which hopefully we shall not be needing anymore. This is my Intel i3. Let me turn you up. God, this thermal paste is a little bit gummy. Can't tell actually, it's a little bit faded. There you go, i3 550. There we go. So I'm taking an i3 550 LGA 1156, which to many people will make some sort of sense. And we are dropping in. That's my little knife just so I can cut the sellotape. This is all a little bit of a stab in the dark because this is all used hardware, so I'm being a little bit careful with the stuff I'm taking off. I mean, that old i3 processor isn't really worth selling, I don't think, so I'll probably just give it away or lob it on Facebook and see if I can get a couple of pounds for it, but nowadays it's worthless really. This was worthless, this was only £40. An i7, where was it? i7 860, there it is. Oh, I've lost my little dimples now. And that does fit, which is fantastic. Let me just check that is seated. Yep, that is seated properly. There we go. That's a little bit of double check buff off. Gosh, this is all very, very dusty. Go away, hamster. I'll put you away. I don't quite know how easy it's going to be to perhaps remove some of these heat sinks from the board. I didn't bring any pliers. Let's see if I can just... I might have to go and get some pliers if this is going to be anything decent under here, but can I just push these in with my fingers? I don't think so. There we go. Well, there's one off. What's under here? 3 capacitors and a lot of dust. So there's one. I'll be a little bit careful to not really touch the foam pads that are sitting under this thing. And then hopefully that will just push down back onto there, which it does. Right. Let's have this big chap off next. Hopefully just a light tap. Light tap didn't work there. Oh, damn my laziness to go and get proper tools. Let's see. Oh, no, I have a pair of tweezers. They work. Problem is I've mushed up this now, being a little bit of an idiot. There you go, that one's fine. See if I push it a bit squarer, if it will just pop through. Just need to jimmy this. Pop it through. He says as if he knows what he does know what he's doing, and he knows he's not doing it quite how it should be done. Really, is he? Even I'm aware of this is a little bit of a bodge job. This is the last one, so I'm hoping. There we go. This one can come off too, which has, it's not too bad actually after all that. You can all stop crying. I'm not going to do the last one because it's fine. Ooh, hang on there. One of the clips is not where it should be. There it is. Oh yeah, little sod. No, you can't run away yet. I don't want to have to buy a new motherboard, even though these motherboards are only 50 quid nowadays. They're still lovely. Right, there we go. So CPU is in. I'm going to take my new stock cooler, no, sorry, my new aftermarket cooler, and a Casa K32 high performance cooler for Intel LGA 775 1155 and 1156 if I can get into the sodding packaging. This, I don't know if it was really needed, I'll be honest. The temps were fine with the stock cooler, but for the price it cost, which was literally not a lot, and the fact that I'm going to all this effort here and there, it just seems silly not to spend a couple of quid, and that's all it was. It was literally, I think it was £8 on scan for a slightly bigger cooler. Yes, it made sense to me. So we shall mount it this way round so the cable can be hidden. I flipping hate this style of clipping the fan on, although this one's not too bad. Check that they're all. That's it. Right, well now that fits, we can undo it. See, I know I haven't put the thermal paste on, I'm just checking that it does fit before I go and move it all up and can't send it back. Because that might happen. Oh, I can't see my paste. Where have I put my thermal paste? Oh, here it is. So, I've been using this on my think pads a lot and it seems utterly fine. Oh, wait. It's got thermal paste on it. Well, if I'd paid any attention to that, I would have just kept that. Okay, no, well, I'm not going to clean that off now. It'll be okay. Let us turn these back to where they should be, to their unlocked position. Their locked position even, and clip them down. There we go, double check at the back. Marvellous. Then this cable is going to live here because that is the CPU fan header. And I can do a little bit of cable management there, in theory. Although, I'll be honest, I probably won't. I shall probably just stick that cable down there, around the back of there, like so. Marvellous. Whee! I have a yellow fan. Go faster yellow fan. Right, I'm going to put this big stick of RAM, oh this is big, in the blue slot, here. The little stick of RAM right next to the CPU fan. This board only takes 16 gig, so the only real, if RAM drops phenomenally in price and I don't have to pay 80 quid for a matched pair, I might try and get another stick of vengeance, but I'll be honest, for now that will be utterly fine. Right, let me bring you back a little bit. I will spin the case in and drop this fine old motherboard into place once I have refitted wherever it has gone the back plate, which would be a sensible thing to do really, I do believe. Ow. Come on. Flipping came out, you can flip and go back in. There we go. Marvellous. Now just bear with me whilst I have a quick look for the nearest other system fan header for this back fan. It doesn't have one. Oh blimey, that's long enough to go around the back of there and into this one. No, that's long enough to go out of there and into this one, right in the middle of the board. And still hide all the cables just out of the way. So So that's okay-ish. But no, I might do that with that. Right. Let me get the board screwed down. There we go. One in place. Motherboard. Next, it's going to be fitting all of this back into the case. And I'm not going to film all of that because it's just going to take forever. And you will get very bored, and I'll get very bored, and my camera will die. So I'm going to fit the power supply, pop the other fans on, put the front cover back on, and basically run everything and get it ready to fit the SSD in and give it its first boot. So, see you later. The power supply is fitted. The cable management is a work in progress. But now it is time to fit this 5.25 CD-ROM drive adapter to 3.5 inch CD-ROM adapter, which is where the SSD is going to sit. Now obviously the mathematically minded among you will know that it's still too big, but being an SSD, it can literally just sit there with 2 screws in and be utterly fine. I was just going to sellotape it to the bottom of the flipping case, I'll be honest, but this seemed the nicer way of doing it whilst filling a hole, because obviously if there's a hole it should be filled. I can see some of you spitting out your sangrias already. So we'll stick the 2 screws in. I'm presuming that it will still, I can still get the cables in with the 2 screws, just finding another appropriately threaded screw from my massive stash of rubbish screws from years ago. In fact I can only put 1 screw in anyway, which actually works quite well. So I can stick it at an angle, I can ramp that screw right up, and that just sits there, look, nicely. This then slides into the drive bay like that and just makes the whole thing look much better. Now I have sacked off those crappy horrible plastic quick release clips that were fitted because it's putting the case together much nicely with just some screws really. I'm also being a little bit picky and trying to find the same type of screws for each, but that's not going too well now because I've used them all up. So I think I'm also having to cut the thread for this plastic drive bay adapter. I can feel it. I'm having to actually cut this, which is fine, I suppose. It does the job. It was very cheap for what I paid, very cheap for it, and I think it's a very cheap part anyway. There we go. That's just putting the whole thing in much nicely. Although I might have to take it apart again to plug the drive in, but I shall worry about that off camera. I shall go offline again and do all that, so you don't have to sit here and just watch me silently screw stuff together. Even I know there's a limit as to what you will watch, and I'm not very good at making tech videos because I don't really do it, so I don't quite know the ways round it like all the tech people do. I'm a Hoover person, a vacuum person, not a tech presenter. This is just, as I told you earlier, just a little bit of fun. This is your money that's paid for all this in an indirect sort of way. I just need to tweak. Oh yeah, this is very off centre, but the last screw will go in, he says expectedly. Come on, there we go, that's bitten. It sort of goes at an angle and then suddenly pulls itself perfectly square. There we go. So the DVD writer is in just to fill the hole. It's not plugged in, and that is in as well. And that is the front of the case looking almost much better. There's just a big sticky mark to get off here, which I may or may not bother with. Right, what's next? Well, I think next is to get the hard drives back in, because I've worked out if I need to do any more upgrades, this power supply has to go, because there are very few that I need power connectors. I'm also not plugging the front audio back in, because annoyingly the front audio plugs in there, which is going to knacker all my cable management up, and I want to be a little bit anal about it. So I won't use the front audio anyway. I don't use the audio on this because obviously it's up in the loft, so it doesn't really bother me too much. Right, on with plugging in more cables. I think got you in handheld mode because this is now sat on the chair with just the SSD fitted. I've had to fit the graphics card again, and look, it posts, and there is our SSD. So that is marvellous. I don't quite know how to get it into IDE channel 0, but quite frankly I don't care, because that means I'm not going to fit those back in for now. I'm going to just leave the SSD in. There's the little light button. Just going to leave the SSD fitted. There it is, look. And get Windows back installed. So, back onto the tripod, we'll have the graphics card apart. And this should be quite simple, because there are no horrible clips for me to crunch and crack. There are simply 4 screws, and the whole heatsink drops off this little graphics card. So I don't think you couldn't game on it, but I don't game anyway, so it's fine. But since it's probably been in use for a while now, the thermal paste is rock hard. It is time to give it a bit of a tickle. So I get a baby wipe. Baby wipes are excellent for getting old thermal paste off. Crikey, apart from this stuff, let's use the old CPU. There we go, that is just scraping off. That's bad. That needs doing. There we go, it's taken off of this chip here. What do we have here? We have a Asus board with an NVIDIA chip. So it is an NVIDIA graphics card, it's obviously one of their clones. Give that a bit of a blow off. Give this card a bit of a hoover. There we go. Right, so now we do need the thermal paste, and we just want a little tiny bit. Don't need much at all on this little tiny little chip. I hope it will just help it. It doesn't really even have to run cooler. Just help it, you know, run a bit nicer. Perhaps, just in case it wasn't very happy. Now I'm going to have to hold this a little bit funnily, because I need to get the screws in without moving it about too much, so you'll have to just excuse me for a second whilst I do that. I don't want to move the... oh, you sod. I didn't want to move the paste around too much, but I think I have. It's not too bad, we'll get away with that. It's not perfect, but as you know, we don't do perfection here. We do working good enough. And there is one screw in, that helps. Here's not the second screw in. That doesn't help. God's sake. Really? No. Let's just try to stick any second screw in just to hold it in place. There we go, second. There's the third, you little sod. And the fourth should be nice and easy. Hopefully. Lovely. There we go. So one lightly serviced graphics card. It's not going to set the world on fire. I imagine these are utter pennies to buy, but I don't want to buy one. I'm happy with this one, with its single HDMI, VGA and DVI. So back in the case it goes. I think for now that's going to be all that's going back in the case, because we now need to install Windows. So I shall see you back at the table where we are going to boot it properly. Now we know it works, and check that everything is there. So we shall turn on the power supply, turn on the power switch, when it decides to turn on. There we go, there's a little bit of delay I've noticed. And then we're going to tab on the post and see what the score is, if it's going to turn the screen on. There we go, there's the beep. So tab to post screen. So we have, oh, we've only got 8 gig of RAM. Is that right? Where's my other 8 gig stick? Don't know the operating system, there isn't one. There we go, boot this failure, lovely. Right, let's go into the BIOS. See if maybe a memory test will perk it up a little bit. If it does. Otherwise I'll go be complaining, that's 40 flipping quid. No, none of that, I don't think. There's our hard drive still. That's the BIOS memory, I think. Is that right? Memory settings? Nope. Don't know what that means. I must do a little cheeky overclock. But not yet. How do you do a memory check on this thing? I don't know how to check the memory. That should be 16 gig. But it sees our Core i7 at 2.8 gigahertz, so that is okay. Ah, here we go. Total memory, dim slot 44, there's the first 8. There's the second 8. Why is it not? I can't do anything in this screen. Why is it not showing the full 16 gig on the BIOS? I wonder. I might move the single slot across one. Bear with. Let's try now. We'll just try at the post screen. See if it counts. 16 megabytes of RAM. 16 gigabytes even, not megabytes, but not in 1993 anymore. Right, 16 769 024K, 16 gig on the Core i7. Right, now we can power it off. I have here a 64 gig pen drive which has a bit of solder removal wire on it, so I can pull it out quite easily from stuff, which has currently been created into a Windows 10 recovery media. So I'm going to stick it in the USB 3 port. And before we go too much further, mainly so I install it on the right drive. We are going to pop Windows 10 onto this. Now I was going to try Linux because it really would have helped make the hardware fly, but I don't know how to encode video on Linux, I'll be honest. And this is used as a file server and a Plex server as well. So I'm just going to stick with Windows 10. It's already got digital license, so in theory we should just be able to. I've got it plugged into the network down here. Is it going to pick up the pen drive? Yes. Marvellous. So this should be fairly simple, he says, taking a sip of this orange squash. So I can let this do its thing. I can tidy up the chaos that is behind us, and obviously now this is all checked, I can bin all of the packaging and leave good feedback for the various stuff I bought. And then we'll come back. Time you come back, I should have fitted the other hard drives back in. I'll do that off camera and fully cable managed it, and I'll show you afterwards. Could take me a while, it shouldn't take you a while, so see you in a bit. Find my device now. Send diagnostic data to Microsoft Basic, and I'll turn you off later. Improve inking and typing recognition. No. Get tailored experiences with diagnostic data. No. Let apps use advertising ID. No. Won't be using apps anyway. Bugger off Cortana. Hi. We're getting everything ready for you. This has been very, very quick, I'll be honest. I've installed Windows 10 a lot, but this is probably the fastest machine I have done it on, even though this is really old hardware. This may take several minutes. I'll come back when we're on the desktop. Welcome to the best Windows ever. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, go away. So, we have a desktop. Fresh. Brand new. No graphics drivers install of Windows. We are still trying to use 100% CPU. 45% of my 2.8 gigahertz CPU. We may have to look at overclocking that slightly. 1.6 gig of 16 gigabytes of RAM used. Ah, that's better. In fact, now we're using 2% of the CPU. Marvellous. Right, I imagine I'm about to get hit with a massive update because I'm on the internet. Let's just check that I am... Where do we have to go? I want to check that I am authorised now. I signed into my Windows account. I now can't remember where to go. Ah, activation. Windows 10 Pro is activated with a digital license. Marvellous. Right, well, probably won't do this too much actually because it can sit and do it all nicely. But there we go, the main crux of the matter is done. I have 16 gig of unknown RAM. Meh, it'll be fine. And yeah, a nice i7. I'm only 10 years late with this. This should be much better. Right, time to fit all the other hard drives in, put it all back together properly, get it down there properly, and then I'll end the video, but I've got lots more work to do. Back on the floor. Right, I've worked out which hard drives I'm keeping, and it's mainly due to what I know. The 2TB and 1TB Western Caviar, Digital Green, whatever, these two, I know that my friend bought them brand new when he built this rig originally. This Hitachi 2TB I bought brand new back when the 2TB first fell below 100 quid, and I thought I got a massive cracking bargain. And of course my new 4TB drive, which is going to be the new vacuum cleaner storage bin. And we're going to fit it first because, well, why the devil not? So, I'll put the two slider rails in, like so. Now, it's a damn shame that I can't cable manage this a little bit nicer and have these rails going down the bottom so that the ports for the drive, I don't think I can. I'm going to try, but I don't think it will. I don't know. Ooh. But they don't clip in. Bum hats. That is a massive shame. I can't swap this around because it's riveted, because if that was the case, I could, I don't know if I can put it through from the back. Right, I might be able to, you know. If that was the case, I could hide all the cables down the back of the case. I'm not fussed about it being a massive pain. Ah, there we go. Oh, no. Grr. I can't screw it either because it doesn't have screw holes. Oh, that's annoying. Right, we're going to do it properly. I can't bodge this as much as I would like to, because that just goes click and then stays there, a treat. Oh well, no nicely hidden cables, sadly. So we'll have you, then we'll have the two terabytes. Oh, that goes in that way now. What? Am I missing a massive trick here? I am, aren't I? If I put these rails in the other way around, ignore me folks, it is late, it is now 12:30 and I'm just trying to get this last little bit done before I call this filming malarkey a day and can make a start on updating all the drivers, all the software and everything else. Now this last 1 terabyte is a bit of a pain in the bum because it doesn't have the original drive rails, which is a big shame, which is why it goes in at an angle like so. Now I'm not too upset about that, and I might see if I can get hold of some more actual proper drive rails, but that isn't going anywhere. It's not actually touching anything metallic. So one day I will fix that, especially since I can stick another hard drive in it, but for now, you know, I can even turn it upside down and it doesn't move. Right now we have cables to run, and the first cable that needs to be run doesn't actually fit. Bugger. Oh dear. Ooh. Right. Well, I need to think about this, which I will do off camera, so farewell for now. The next update should be this, looking a lot neater and tidier. And everything's plugged in. Should be nice. I fixed it. I worked it out. It involves having the SSD just screwed to the side of the 5.5 inch drive bay, because obviously being SSD, it's ever so light, it's fine. I could then fit that hard drive that was sitting at an angle down here into the 5.5 inch drive bay, and the power connectors fitted. All the rest are sat there and all plugged in, all cable managed, all the fans are now in. There's the two there. They have to plug into Molex connectors, so that does ruin the feng shui of the case slightly, but once the lid's on, no one's going to care. And I'll be honest, this is now at the stage where any more upgrades, any more additional hard drives are going to require a new PSU, and I'll be honest, at that point I'll probably then buy another case to fit them all in, because I now don't have any more mounting points unless I start racking it out with those 5.25 inch adapters, which seems a little bit pointless since the cases are quite cheap. But there we go, hardware wise, we are done. Next time you see this, it should be all sorted out software wise and ready to start earning me money again. Done. I have my new desktop background. We are all sorted. I have been stress testing it all day. Lots of 100% loads of everything. Temperatures are looking fantastic. It hasn't crashed. It has been perfect. So I have put my video editing software on it. I've done a couple of test edits as well, so I know what's coming up here. And early on today, if I can find it, I did start. Move some files. Hang on. I just need to specify new location or replacement file. Hang on, I did a bit of tidying up. There's my intro music. Hopefully this will load, ready to go. This is the video for my pneumatic HVR 200 that I got. And this is all done, it's edited, it's ready to go. All I have to do is hit render as. We'll browse, drop it in the right folder, press render. Now, first of all, this is rendering it a lot faster than it was. It used to do it, you could count the frames, now they're a slight blur. But more importantly of all, because it doesn't have to be quick. This sits up in the loft. I would have closed the laptop down by now and gone and done something else. I'll come back to it later. We have, the CPU is at about 70%. In fact, it hasn't hit 70% yet, 66, 67. That's lovely. The RAM is ramping up. We're using 10 gig of RAM now, but it generally peaks at around 13, 14, because I've made it. I can now, before when I was rendering a video, that was it, I couldn't use the machine. Now I can still use it, so I can still potter around and do other things. Really, there we go, 13.4, there you go, that's now stopped at 30 gigabytes of RAM. Rendering this video, it's saying it's going to take 20 minutes. This would have taken 45 minutes to an hour before. So there we go, really. This has been very much worth it for a mixture of eBay parts and brand new parts. So all that remains to do now is to let this finish, shut it down and get it back up in the loft where it can sit for another 5 years, not really being touched. I doubt I'm going to run out of hard drive space anytime soon, because I've now got 3 terabytes free in my vacuum storage hard drive. So even if I suddenly decide to do all my pending stuff, which is 289 gigabytes, we've got years left now. My general videos and movies has 700 gig free, and my just general stuff file, where all my program files sit, all the pictures of life, my music, everything really, that's got 1.5 terabytes as well. And we are using, well, we have 85 gig free on our SSD. Blooming good job. So I hope you haven't been too bored whilst you watch an amateur upgrade his home PC in order to work on his channel. And obviously if you follow me, you see a little background into what I do. Normally I'd have this on the laptop, but I would have this exact screen. So this would just be turned off in the loft. Job done. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed it. The videos will keep coming up. We have lots and lots and lots and lots and lots to come up on my channel. I am now scheduled up until September. In fact, I started thinking about the video that I would upload on my birthday, which is in September. We are currently, what was the last one? The DC-11, wasn't it? That was the last one. So all of these are still to come on my channel. The 2 red are for 12 vacuums in 12 months. I actually remember to do it, rather than going all crap on the day and having to do it and get it rendered before 6 o'clock. But there we go. So thank you very much for watching. Normal service will be resumed on Tuesday Obviously you had last weekend's fun videos. What have you got to look forward to on Tuesday? Well, my sources say, what date is it on Tuesday? I'm filming this a week ahead. It will be the 24th, won't it? Tuesday the 24th. You have the delight of, if I can find it. Ooh! The Kirby Legend 2 Demos Part 3A. The big shampoo session. I went wild with the test pads and the entirety of my mum's downstairs and a whole bottle of shampoo. It was great. So, stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. And I shall see you soon. Bye bye.